So I still actually have my target on the S&P 500, and the S&P 500 target that I still have, if I go to this one right here now, this is the S&P 500, and people call me pretty crazy for actually having this target. And the target that I have, let me just bring this up here, the target that I still have on the S&P 500 is still 7,500, and you guys know I've had this for a while now, and I'm still doing it right now, and I still believe we are going to see that target come into play. And one of the reasons why I say that, and I still see that coming, is I want to just share something with you here. If I show you this here, you can see how that it's just so amazing, isn't it? Hey, it blows my mind, and it continues to just blow my mind to see just how well, no matter what's happening in the news, no matter what's happening in the media, no matter what Trump says, no matter what, the fears, the worries, the doubts, all that sort of stuff, it still surprises me so much that these longer term trend lines that are on these weekly charts, especially these types of trend lines, these ones where you have the major lows, support, it still blows my mind to see when we get to these levels that they hold and they end up being significant bottoms in the markets, and then we tend to get a rally. It's just absolutely amazing, isn't it? Like, look at this here. And this is the S&P 500. We had this low point here, low point here, low point here, and then a low point here. And look what happened. This is the weekly chart. And look at this here. It came all the way down to that long-term trend line, found support, and then now we're starting to make our way up. I just think that is incredible, right, guys? Like, it's one of the, and this is where, like, for me, I'm always trying to focus more on what the charts are telling me, because it's so amazing to see that. We see that through there. If I bring up, say, the NASDAQ, we can see where the NASDAQ, I'm not sure, was there a NASDAQ line there? Let's just see if there was through there. No, we didn't actually get the NASDAQ. We came down to this support level here on the NASDAQ, and we actually had that level there, and then also that level down through there somewhere. So that was a bit of a support level through there. If we go to the Dow Jones was also same thing, right? Look at this here. We had a bit of support through there, as you can see, and look what's happening so far. And I'll get to these Fibonacci extensions in just a minute, but look what's happened so far. Right, in fact, actually, there we go there. Let's go hide indicators. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, and then unhide. Okay, cool, yeah. So you can see what actually happened here, right? We can see it come down through here, and no matter what the fear, no matter what the worries and the doubts and the all the issues that have come out, it still blows my mind to see just how well technical analysis really does work. And especially when it comes to these longer term trend lines here, it's just absolutely just blows my mind, because we know the fear and greed index, right? We know the fear over the last couple of weeks has been enormous, and still people are saying that this is just a counter trend, or this is just a little fake out before we see a much bigger drop in the markets. And I'm still coming out to say that I still see a 7,500 target, and I'm putting my neck on the line here and saying that we're probably likely to see this here. And the reason why, guys, is if I'm not going to, and I know this might be hard for some of you that are watching this video right now, but if I'm not going to factor in any of my opinions or what I believe about the economy is doing right now, because the stock market is not the economy, so I can't factor in what is happening in the economy, because the stock market's not the economy, right? The stock market is a bit more of a leading indicator, right? A bit more of a leading indicator. Like, for example, I'll give you an example here. Back here, when this was the COVID bottom, right? Do you know when the absolute, when this is where you cannot go based off maybe some information you get today, because if you get, say for example, you get something, a really bad, really something that comes out that really shocks the market. What was that in COVID, right? What was that? That was what? That was when Trump came out and the whole world went shut down. Do you know it was right here? It was around this point through. Now I'm looking at the weekly chart here, but it was these weeks here when they actually said lockdown, national emergency. Now you would think that would crush the market, right? But do you see how the balances of the ultimate fear in the marketplace ends up becoming the buoy for the markets? And then guess what? Then the market actually had an extraordinary quality move. So the thing that we're seeing through here, and the same thing we're seeing right now, is I am just blown away, guys, by this level through here. You also can see the same sort of situation that's happening through. Now, if I go, let me show you how I got to my 7,500 target. The first thing is I just say is that, let me take my moving average off the screen and let's just focus on the chart 100%. If we have a look at this here, right, this is just a really nice, like, would you say if you're looking at this chart here, would you say there's anything wrong with this chart? There isn't, right? Yeah, we've had a drop through here, but it's just moving in a very nice smooth price action, right? So we've had this move up through here, we've had this move down, move up, move down, up, down, 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 and we're probably going to continue up there, right? So I'm seeing these major swings and major highs and if I'm looking at this from a technical analysis point of view, I would say that's a low, that's a high, there's a low, there's a high, there's a low, there's a high, there's another low. So to me, I honestly and truly believe that we are getting ready for a really strong rally, and I have a 7,500 target now. And it's not nothing special, by the way. If I actually clone this and bring that up through to somewhere through there, right, you can see that that's actually the channel through there. But that sounds pretty crazy, doesn't it? I have a 7,500 target by the end of this year. Right? But how I get that target is just from a simple and extension level, right? So from this major low point to this major high point, we came down 50% level there. And then what I will also do is then I go to an extension tool, and we know that's the 50% Fibonacci. We have low to high, and then we have this movement down through there. And as you can see, the extension, that point, that's how we get the 7,500. So I know this sounds pretty crazy, but I'm still sticking to my point about the 7,500 on there. I think we're getting ready for a really, 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 really strong bounce out of the markets. And especially now looking at the actual stock market. The stock market is now starting to put in some sort of a bottom through here. And once again, one of the biggest lessons we can learn about what's happened over the last couple of weeks is what? Whenever something comes out to shock the markets, oh my goodness, it's so bad. When was the so bad? The so bad was what? The so bad happened when Trump did the whole, what they call it, Liberation Day, right? And guess what happened on Liberation Day? Right there. So, and the market went freaky. Now, one of the important things for us is to try to remove our emotions, right? To make good decisions, because as you can see so far, a bit of volatility, but this has actually been the bottom in the markets before we've seen a big move to the upside. And so for me personally, I've been looking for really good opportunities in the stock market because I believe we're starting to see now some really nice upward movement out of the markets from here. And it's just looking really, 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 really strong from all of that perspective all through there. So if we go have a look at, so that's obviously that's through there. Just a very, look at this here, just a very, 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 very strong market from here. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to be stepping in front of the train, stepping in front of this move here, guys, because I definitely see this thing having really nice moves to the to the upside. Now let me just share something with you here as well too. One thing you want to be doing is if you see something like, for example, the dollar here, right? So the dollar to me right now, as you can see, the dollar to me right now is definitely getting to a point where we could be getting a false breakdown. And this is where, like, this is one of the reasons why I believe gold is getting very close toward the top, right? It's very, when we're in these parabolic moves and parabolic phases out of the stock market, so in any market, it's very, very hard to pick the top. I obviously got the top wrong when it comes to gold. But one thing I want you to do, right, is not about calling tops and bottoms. What we want to be doing is just try to be smart about, okay, we're probably getting a bit frothy here right now. I want to get out and not try to wait for the very last moment, right? So for me, when it comes down to the gold market, we can see here that we've actually had this major support level up here on this weekly chart up here. And now on this daily chart down the bottom here, we're starting to get the potential reversal so far. Right, and if we bring this is obviously the weekly chart. If we do end up holding here, and we are, look at this reversal candlestick right now, getting complete rejection and reversal. If we do end up back in here, that is going to absolutely just crush gold and go from there. So this is obviously gold right now, and gold is obviously reversing, you know, even more. And so therefore, I do see gold ultimately having a big drop overall. We just see it from perspective of we just had too big of a parabolic move. Now, if we're looking for some shorter term trend lines for where gold is probably going to hit on a very short term level, overall, I see gold having a 20% correction just because of the parabolic move overall. But how I look at levels from a short-term level perspective is this: if this is gold here, I can see that we firstly see how we actually had all this sideways movement. So this is the sideways movement here, and then if I bring this to the upside, from there to there, right, and then from there to there, I can see how that this whole level through here was definitely a support level, support. So on a bare minimum, gold is probably going to come down towards this level through here, right? Gold is done as dusted, okay, guys? Please do not try and chase gold. Yes, gold may have another last little push to the upside, but don't try and capture the last 10% of a move. One of the biggest mistakes you can make as a trader is trying to capture something. And I always utilize, and especially if you see this here, okay? See, if you see, if I bring up my 24 moving average, you can see what I'm talking about here. But see how these legs, with these legs, I always call it from the energy source, right? If this was the start of the move and this was the end of the move, and this is the start and this is the end, and so on and so forth. If this is the start, I always like to use it as energy, right? Energy in the markets. And if we've been going sideways, well, we've just been going sideways through here. We've been building a lot of energy. But as the market starts to pick up through here, we never know exactly when it's going to be on the empty. And what I mean by that is I like to use this as using energy, right? Or using fuel. If you have a full tank of fuel here and you're ready to go for another trip, you're going through here, right? So this here is 100. You got a full tank of fuel. You stop to the service station. You fuel it up. And then you start to go for a trip. You go for a trip. You might be at 50% here, right? 50, and you're still going for a trip. You're going for a trip, right? And now you're at what? Now you're at 20%, right? And then you got, see what I'm saying here? So you never know when this 10 and maybe 0 is going to come into place up here. But this is the danger point, is trying to capitalize on this bit here. What you want to try to be smart. You always want to try to get the bulk of the move, right? The bulk of the move. And so the reason why I say what I say about gold is if this was a full tank of fuel here, because we did refuel, right? We had a refilling phase. Then if we're not at the top here, which is a very high probability we are, right? We are at probably now 10%. So if for some reason we do have another push to the upside, we are not ready for another really big move to go. We're not ready for a 4,000 move to the upside. It's just not ready for that, right? You just look at these markets. What do we need now? If you understand how the markets work on our deepest level, what do we now need for gold to have another big move? We need a refueling phase, right? Look at this here, up and then sideways, refuel, and then up and sideways, refuel, up, 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 up. We need at least something like that, and then maybe we do something like that, right? But for now, if you are thinking about gold and you're FOMOing into gold, then just keep an eye. My whole objective through here is just to try to educate you on that, so you can understand where we are right now with gold and what's happening here with gold, right? So this is what's going on with gold right now. You could actually see this coming, a mile away. There's a big, massive head and shoulder formation. Gold massive. Look at that big, massive head and shoulder formation forming right now. If I go to the 4-hour chart, even bigger. So again, gold on a short-term level, guys. Let's go back to here, right? So on a short-term level from here, gold is probably going to come down towards this level through here, which right now, that's about a 9 or 10% drop to the downside from there. That's a short-term level. If once we get down to this level here, what's probably going to happen is we're probably going to get a bit of a bounce, because you can see it has been through here. So what I see coming is we're probably going to have a move. We're probably going to do something like this here. Right, so we're probably going to have a move to the downside, maybe get a little bit of a bounce, and then start to see a much more bigger move on the downside. But so far, we're actually, let's move it. So far, we're actually rejecting where we are right now. And it does look like we're developing some sort of a head and shoulder formation. The top does look to be in, because now we're getting what's called, we're getting now V-topping action and head and shoulder formation. So a big V-top in the markets, big V-top through here, as you can see, and also a big head and shoulder formation on this big long-term hourly charts now. We haven't actually seen something like this before in gold in quite some time. So that's the reason why this is failing through here and we're not pushing to the upside, is because of this overall topping pattern all through there. So that's the big things I really want to share with you guys on a short-term level basis. Once again, if I bring my charts back up to here and I show you the levels that I am focusing on once again, and we can just let my software load up. So the level of what, once again, guys, that shorter term level is down through there. This is obviously the daily charts right now. This is where I see gold ultimately at least coming back towards. And then once that happens, that's around the 3,000 level, 3,000 to 3,100 level from there. But then if we look at this level from here, probably through there, and maybe even we're going to overshoot, because the moving average on this one here, as you can see, the market always comes back towards the moving average. So we're probably going to come down towards the moving average somewhere down through here. And if I'm using some sort of like longer term trend lines from there to there, you can see that's where at least where it comes into play. I don't expect too much move now out of gold, especially now what's happening with the actual stock market. Stock market looks like it's bottom. Looks like the fears are now running. The fear is running out of the markets when it comes to these markets. We're getting a big bid right now when it comes to the actual stock market. So stock market's pretty strong. People are not as fearful anymore, so gold's not going parabolic anymore, and so it's really selling off. And the worst scenario, or the worst situation that I think a lot of people saw when it comes to the tariff and the economy, and they're going to crash and all that sort of stuff, I think it was just a bit of a short-term scare. Because once again, that I do see that these other charts through here, these other charts here when it comes to the stock market, so far anyway, as you can see, once again, we're just completely and utterly holding these levels through here, and we could be getting ready for a move to the upside. So traders, if you'd like to learn my actual trading system and learn how I trade the markets and my actual step-by-step strategy that I use, then you can join my webinar that I'm running today. That first link in the description. Go click on that. Go join the webinar, and I'll teach you everything I know about the stock market, about trading, and also I'll walk you through my trading system so you can start to apply this to your own trading today.